Well, good morning. I'm Jeff Coleman.
And I'm Debra Pinkerton. Welcome to Morning Light.
Well, there is a new revealing poll about our views on the ancient mystical practice of astrology. Our Morning Light panel will take a deep dive into these numbers.
But first, here's a preview of what's coming up later in the show. If you like cookies or strawberry pie or both, you need to go to Black Rock Christian Camp and Retreat Center's annual auction. Find out how buying a sweet treat could change a young person's life.
I hope there's a blueberry pie in that sale.
I don't think blueberry pie.
Oh, strawberry?
Just strawberry pie.
Okay, all right. Well, a Pew Research survey of more than 9,500 Americans reveal many of us are looking to the stars for answers to earthly problems. 1/3 admit to consulting a horoscope, tarot cards, and even a fortune teller at least once a year. While many say it's just for fun, roughly the same percent of Americans say they actually believe astrology. That's the study of the position of planets and stars and how it impacts life here on Earth. Interesting numbers, aren't they?
Interesting, yes. So what about Americans who identify as Christians and claim to follow Jesus and the teachings of the Bible? 24% of Protestants say they believe in astrology. That number inches up to 29% for Catholics. Now, women are twice as likely than men to consult the stars. More Black Americans than any other race believe in astrology. And more than half of those who identify as LGBT say they consult a horoscope or some form of astrology at least once a year.
Yeah, people want answers, I think, right?
They do, and that's where they do. They open the paper.
And there's the answer,
yes.
Right? Well, from Ouija boards to carnival palm readers to the daily horoscope, the promise of a window into the future is a tantalizing prospect, isn't it? And even though just 1% of us admit to using astrology to make major life decisions like marriage or the choice of a college, for many, dabbling into this strange world of mystery is considered worthwhile. So is astrology a harmless parlor trick or something more concerning? What should we know? For some honest conversation, we turn to our Morning Light panel. Pastor Dave Biser and Cowan is back here this morning. Welcome, gentlemen.
All right, good morning.
You're going to give us some insight into this poll, I hope, because it's a strange one. You know, for those of us growing up with cartoons, there was the Smurf, and Gargamel, was the bad guy in the Smurfs, and then you had He-Man and the, Masters of the Universe, and then maybe your generation, I Dream of Jeannie or something like that, right?
Right. I think every generation has this.
Everyone, has a collection of cute, cuddly characters, right?
Correct. Right.
So, what is our fascination, do you think, with wanting to reach into the future and get an answer right then and there? And why don't we immediately outright reject it? We would reject it if someone came up on the street to us and said, I know.
Right. So let's first establish the baseline that this is not a new thing. This goes all the way back. We can read about it in the Old Testament. We read about it. Saul had the spirit removed from him and given to David because he had consulted a medium.
That's right.
There were
the three kings.
You're correct. We have the wise men who are consulting the stars and looking to see where the Messiah is being born. Right. So it isn't that this is a new thing. Just because we have newspapers now doesn't mean we're still, that this is a whole new thing under the sun. It is not. And so this has been around for a while. I think one of the things that is a part of our human psyche, a part of our human dilemma maybe, is that we don't know the future, and we would like to know, and anything that can help us figure that out so that we can take next steps is a wonderful thing. Now, what we believe is that we believe God gives us that future, and it's God who's in charge of that future. That doesn't mean that there aren't signs in the skies. Jesus talks about that in Scripture. 1 Thessalonians talks about it. The Book of Revelation talks about the things that we're going to see that are evidence of the end times, and some of those things are going to be in the sky.
So, Ty, I'm going to get to you, but I want to finish this line here. And so, why isn't it okay to kind of blend the two worlds, right? Why can't we just use a little bit? Hey, God put the stars in the sky, and God gave us, why can't we use that?
I think Ty's going to back me up on this, but here's what I believe. Here's what I think he's discovered and I've discovered, and I think this is what we understand. That looking to the sky is supposed to be our way of discovering what God is up to and how we can align with his plan, not the other way around.
Interesting.
It's not our way of discovering what our plan needs to be
Okay.
so that I know what my next step is. It's discovering what God's next steps are. And so therein lies the difference. Is this about me and my satisfaction, my point of view, my way of navigating life? Or is it me discovering who God is in the bigger picture of all things and stepping into who he is versus who I want to be, and for my comfort?
That's a big difference.
Huge difference, right?
So, Ty, when you're looking at this issue of astrology, your generation hasn't fully rejected it. In fact, your generation looks at it and says, this may be a way for us to get some answers. What's your encounter been with astrology and kind of all the mystical stuff around it?
Yeah, so I had a history in this as well. Before I was a Christian, I was seeking my own identity. I was seeking some direction, some guidance on what is life, where am I going, what is going on around me. So I had history of getting into horoscopes, because the horoscopes, they try to tell you about who you are personally, and they try to tell you what your week may look like. So I think the devil or the enemy, whatever you may look at that, doesn't show you right away, right? It's a slow step into. It's a beautiful experience at first, right? Like, oh, this is who you are. This is what your day is.
Does it give you a little piece?
Yeah, somewhat of a little piece, right? And I think, and that is the trick. It shows you this little piece of like. But then you start to get anxious, right? You start to wake up. I was waking up anxious about what does next week look like? What does the next year look like? And how can I position myself to make sure that this happens? So I think initially it's this, oh, wow, this is the new age spirituality. It's not, there's no rules, there's no boundaries within it. And then you slowly get deeper and deeper into it. You get more confused, you get more anxious, you get more worried, because this is what you thought it was going to be. You thought this is what it's supposed to look like, but it never ends up like that in the long run.
So why don't you think you can have your horoscope on one side and the Bible in the other? Why can't those two things be compatible, do you think?
I believe, first, I believe the Bible doesn't speak to that. I believe the Bible speaks to God being the one and true and only God. And if we look back just to the first temptation, I believe we were tempted to be like God. Our temptation is to be like God and to know everything. And I think it's you have to humble yourself and understand that we're better in God's hands. And you can begin to try to put these two decisions or these two paths in your hand at once, you'll just be more confused. And I just believe the scripture does not subscribe to having two different directional paths. I think Jesus Christ, again, is the way, the life, and the truth, and no one shall get to the Father except through him.
So is that what Ty is saying? Is that the root of it? Is that we want to know what God knows before we're supposed to know it, and that trusting in this, think about, is the surgery going to be successful? Should I marry this person? Should I get the blue one or the red one? Should I live on this street or that street? I mean, all of those things seem to, that would just be a sigh of relief if you open up the newspaper and it tells you what you're doing.
Sure. What we've done is effectively we've assigned a conscience to something that was never given that privilege. Stars don't have a conscience. They don't have a thought process. No star woke up this morning and thought, I'm going to help Jeff figure his day out today.
Right.
So when Jeff looks at a star and says, help me figure out my day, the star says, this is not my job.
Right.
I was not created to do that. And so when we look at all creation, I love how people say, well, the universe must be on my side today. And the universe really doesn't care.
Right.
There is lots of evidence. Please stop saying that. The universe does not have a soul, a conscience, a thought process. It is obedient to the Creator in what it does, right? So when the Creator put the universe, put stars in place, and asked us to be observant of them, because they will give us some signs of what He's doing, not what we should do, but what He is doing and how we can step into that process. It's completely different, So having those two hand in hand, this one says to me, the stars say you're this kind of person. But God might be over here saying, I'm this kind of person. This is who I made you to be. Be this person.
And the star side is affirming who you are, as opposed to calling you to change or be different. At what point, Ty, did you realize, okay, this doesn't have answers? And when did you realize, oh, Jesus actually does care about me personally? Because if the stars don't care, then that leaves a big void.
Yeah, I would say by the grace of God, I don't think it was out of my own volition at all. Like, it was him opening my eyes up to who he is and what he has called me to be. But the path that led me getting into horoscopes and to more of a tarot card and crystals and everything, it led me to being around some very interesting people. And that experience led me to understand that I was going in the complete opposite direction of what I wanted to go into. I thought I was doing it in a peaceful and loving way. Like I wanted to be a better person. And God opened my eyes up and showed me that this is not where I want you. And he just directed me just at purely that it was not, oh, wow, this is like my own understanding. I didn't come to my own conclusion. It was God opening my eyes up in that moment.
So how are you not judgmental towards people who are still looking to cards or reading the tea leaves or the ashes or whatever to come up? How do you not look at them and say, boy, I'm better than them?
I would say, because I understood what that meant. I understood what it felt like to be lost. Like when I look back, it is like, wow, I put my hope in these crystals. I put my hope in these rocks, but I understood how deceived I was, and that it's not. It's really not, it wasn't at my own fault, right? I was lost, I was confused. So I try to have that same compassion. Even with other people that haven't had that same experience, I always try to look back to where God brought me from. And just to humble myself and say, if it wasn't for the grace of God, I would not be here in this moment right now. So having that same compassion, that same humility for those people that are also seeking. And I respect people that are seeking for the truth, that are looking for God. And I love the opportunity to be able to speak to them in those moments and say, hey, you're looking, and I appreciate that you are looking for God, but I had the same experience. I understood where you were at, and this is what got me to God. And I believe if you're genuinely, seeking for the truth, as I was, Jesus will be right there waiting for you.
Last minute. Sure. For someone who is in this spot and not knowing, do I go that church route, but church has always let me down, I don't trust those people, they're just there for the money and all the reasons people don't go to church. But this, to that person, how do you get on the path of making an informed decision?
Sure, right. I think there are 2 or 3 things that I would recommend immediately. The first one is I would start dedicating my life more toward a time of prayer and connection with who God is versus trying to find some answer. And so I would spend some quiet moments, some meditative moments with God and opening my mind and my heart to hearing what God has to say. Second thing I would do is I would invite people to start reading God's word versus the newspaper or horoscope. There are lots of directional pieces in God's word that we can find that will guide us through everyday life. The third thing I would invite people to do is get involved in a congregation that you can trust, that you can be a part of, who will give you good, solid guidance and direction. Get into a small group where you can talk to other people about life. Don't
do it alone.
From a godly, don't do it alone. Right?
It's not about you and the stars.
No, it's not.
Gentlemen, thank you. I think you helped some people today. Well, going once, going twice, sold. We introduced you to Black Rock Christian Retreat Center last month. We'll tell you about their upcoming fundraiser where you can buy tasty treats and enjoy your favorite summer camp activities. You're watching Morning Light right here on Lighthouse TV.
Welcome back. We are here at Black Rock Christian Camp and Retreat Center in southern Lancaster County. Joining us right now is Michael Lapham, event director here. Thanks so much for inviting us to be here with you today.
Thank you, Deborah. It's good to be here.
Remind us about the center here.
All right, Black Rock Christian Camp and Retreat Center. It was established in 1954. Frank Ank was a minister, a Mennonite gentleman who had a dream to be able to bring kids from the inner city of Lancaster to bring them out into the wilderness and the woods and just experience God's creation. So that was the main dream behind it. How can we get people who wouldn't normally experience this type of thing and know God this way and bring them to a place where they can really enjoy God's creation together?
Yeah, and it is a beautiful place.
Yeah,
You're
love it here.
surrounded by trees. You can hear the birds chirping. Camps are going on right now. You can hear kids playing, having a wonderful time.
Yeah, it's very active here, which is a really great problem to have. We love it, and we're just thankful for all the people that God brings us here at Black Rock.
Tell us about this auction that you're going to be having. This is a pretty big auction. It's called the Cookie and Strawberry Pie Auction.
Yeah.
I love the title.
Right, yeah.
I love both of the things.
It's pretty obvious, right? So cookies and strawberry pies. So yeah, the auction is happening on June 14th here on the grounds at Black Rock, just south of Quarryville. And we're going to be having cookies that we usually sell them in pairs, and they're kind of large gingerbread style cookies, but they're decorated by some of the ladies who come on the grounds, and they're all decorated in special ways. And then people get to auction on these cookies. And of course, there's other things that people can purchase at the auction. It's not just cookies, it's the strawberry pies. And so we have about 30 strawberry pies that get made here on the premises here, and then we are able to auction those off. And it's been really exciting, actually. The auction provides an opportunity for the community to come and not only just support Black Rock, but also mix with some of our summer camp staff who are then working with our kids throughout the summer. And they come from all over the world. About half of our staff is international students.
Oh my goodness. So when you come to the auction, it's more than just the auction. You
It
get
really
to
is.
experience Black Rock.
Correct, yeah. You get to experience a little bit about what these counselors are excited about, the opportunities that they're going to be able to give campers in the very near future. So,
How has the turnout been in the past, and what are you hoping for this year?
yeah, well, the turnout, we're in southern Lancaster County, so people love their auctions and things. So the turnout has been very, very healthy in the past. In the 70s and 80s, they used to cram a warehouse full of people and items and things to auction off. We're down to cookies and pies now, so it makes it a little bit easier and goes quicker. But it's about, you'll have right around 200 people who come on the grounds and be part of the auction.
Oh my goodness. And what is the reaction you get?
Well, the reaction is a lot of fun. The people love bidding for these cookies because ultimately it's not about, oh, I'm taking home cookies. Ultimately, it's about supporting camp scholarships that will support families to be able to send their kids to camp. It's expensive to send a kid to camp. It really is. Things are not getting cheaper. And so to have one child that you send to camp is really healthy and very good. But if you have 3, 4, 5 kids, well, then it gets very, very expensive for a family to try to have to send all their family. So we have some very, very generous people here in Lancaster County that during the auction bid and give money to camp scholarships so that these families can also be compensated. We had nearly 400 campers this last summer who were compensated in some way with camp scholarship money that came partly from our cookie and strawberry pie auction.
And this camp is making a difference in these young people's lives.
Huge impact. Of course, we know that everything that happens in our life, we usually experience through play and risk and imagination and these things. And these are all things that camp provides throughout the week. And fun fact, we don't allow campers to have their cell phones during the week. And you would think that would be a really not a well-received things by our campers, but we have comments all the time about, I love it that I can just kind of spend time with new friends, new faces. And so we get very positive remarks about that, not negative, which is a great thing.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah, love it.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And coming up next, we're going to hear more about how the money raised during the auction is used to help spread the gospel here at Black Rock. Stay with us. We're back in just 1 minute. Welcome back. Joining us is Peter Fiorello, Executive Director here at the Center. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for coming.
So remind us about the mission of Black Rock Christian Camp and Retreat Center.
Yeah, so the mission of Black Rock Christian Camp and Retreat Center is dedicated to spreading the gospel and strengthening the church. And so our heart and passion here at Black Rock is to provide this amazing space where adults and kids can disconnect, get away from the craziness in the world, as Scripture called us many times to get away and spend time alone with the Lord. Black Rock is passionate about, from the facilities to the food to the hospitality, just providing excellent service so that when guests come, they're not distracted with all those things. They can hear God speak. As you hear the birds in the back right now, and you go on a walk on our trails and you can just be still and pause. Often during summer camp, kids, they're coming from some chaotic situations. It's often on that third day they can breathe. They can just all of a sudden, whether it's a bad home life, we have kids that come that don't have a mom and dad. We have kids that come that are in some troubled situations, but it's when you drive around the camp in a golf cart, you see them smiling, grinning from ear to ear. And that's our hope, that camp can provide this safe space where they can continue to fall in love with Jesus.
So we were talking earlier with Michael, and he was talking to us about the auction and how the money raised does provide scholarships. Tell us more about that and how else the funds are used.
Oh my goodness, what a great event that is, the cookie auction. It's been going on for years, and the generosity of our supporters is amazing. From paying for our buildings and improvements, but the cookie specifically helps send kids to camp. And so each year we're blessed when a mom calls and says, I can't afford to send my kid to camp this year. Could you help? And we get to say yes. And often Joanne on the other side, she hears moms like crying, just moved that we can pay for their kid to go to camp because they're in a desperate situation. And so each year we raise scholarships through many events to send kids to camp, and then we'll send a letter out here shortly asking for people to participate, to prayerfully consider helping make a difference. And then throughout the year, we also raise money for growth and improvement. We're blessed that we have over 20,000 people that come through the facility annually, and in that, they help pay for the basic expenses. But it's the growth and improvement and scholarships where we have to raise funds for to help.
And this camp is making a huge difference for the adults that come for retreats and also the kids that come for the camp.
Oh my goodness, yes. Recently we started this women's event. We call it Breathe. Maybe you heard about that earlier. And the women walked away from this event just, most importantly, connecting with the Lord, but being encouraged and just rejuvenated to go home and continue their walk with the Lord. And each weekend we have groups coming in from all over within a 3-hour radius. And many of the group leaders just share how this space provides the opportunity for them to connect with the Lord. And of course, campers are our passion, where kids come and they fall in love with Jesus. And, personally, that was me many years ago.
Me too.
Yeah, right. My parents couldn't afford for me to go to camp. And we were at church one Sunday, and this sweet little old lady walked up and said, I want to pay for you to go to camp this summer. It was my 8th grade year. And it was that moment that I gave my heart to Jesus. And I've been doing camp ever since.
So an amazing thing that happened in your life that changed your life.
Oh, absolutely. When I went back to public school that next year, my friends were like, who are you? You're a different person.
Oh my goodness. Any other stories you wish to share from campers that you have talked to and seen over the years?
We have kids that come from Baltimore, Philly, Lancaster City. Every day we drive into the city in Lancaster City and pick up kids and bring them to camp. And we had a young girl a couple of years ago from Baltimore, and she hated camp. She didn't want to give up her cell phone. She actually tried running away. She called an Uber to try to get her to come pick her up, to take her back to Baltimore.
Wow.
So our leaders intervened. They got on the phone with the mom. The mom made some statements, and we were able to take her phone. On day 3, she gave her heart to Jesus. Huge transition. A girl that hated it, but now she couldn't wait to come back. So, yeah, we hear stories like that time and time again. It's really amazing.
Yeah, and that's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you for making a difference. Thank you for what this camp is doing that's offering people this opportunity to hear the gospel.
Oh, how blessed we are. What a great place to serve the Lord.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you.
And if you would like to learn more about the auction or more about the retreats or camps that are offered here at Black Rock, you can go to blackrockretreat.com. Stay with us. We will be right back. Welcome back. Coming up tomorrow on Morning Light, learn about a Central Pennsylvania Christian Educational and Performing Arts Academy for grades 1 through 12. The mission of the Lancaster Academy for the Performing Arts is to honor God through excellence in musical, theatrical, and fine arts instruction and performances that bless the community. And that's a look at what's coming up tomorrow on Morning Light. Now, Jeff, your closing thoughts.
Thank you, Debra. Well, why does William Penn deserve a 37-foot statue in the most prominent spot in Philadelphia? Well, the clue is where his body is pointing, toward the very location along the Delaware River where he finalized that treaty with the Lenni Lenape Indians, a treaty rooted in friendship, respect, and love. Instead of taking the Lenape's lands by force, he traded in fairness and good faith, winning the respect and trust of Pennsylvania's native peoples. When Penn's descendants broke trust, years of dark history followed. But today, on June 2nd, we celebrate the 101st anniversary of the Indian Citizenship Act, signed by President Calvin Coolidge in 1924, bringing us one step closer to Penn's great experiment in loving neighbors. Or as Penn said, let us try what love can do to mend a broken world. For Debra and the entire Morning Light team, I'm Jeff Coleman. Thanks for watching. Check on your neighbors, and God willing, we'll see you again tomorrow morning.